Hello, everyone. Welcome to episode number 24 of Chilled and Killed, a true crime podcast where we discuss a crime over a glass of wine or two. We're your hosts, Sam
And Amanda.
And this week is part 2 of our Casey Anthony story. So we continue to record. You guys are just listening in, so like later on. So
yes.
Yeah.
And we actually did finish those
2
bottles
of
wine. All 3. Well, we're still on the 3rd, but we're going to tell you what we're going to crack into after we finish this glass of wine. So for the wine of the 2nd episode, we're going to drink Blue Lobster Bayside Blend red wine. It's a winery from Portland, Maine.
Yeah. Panda and I actually, when she visited me in Maine, we went to this winery and it was super fun. And it's kind of cool because the wine is actually in a can. So we're going to crack a can, but it's going to be wine.
Yep.
But we're not going to do it just yet because we still both have Cab from Skull and Chain.
Yes, from Skull and Chain.
Yeah, so we both still have some Cabernet Sauvignon from our part 1 of Casey Anthony that is in our glasses right now. So we'll probably go over the story a little bit and then stop and discuss wine and go from there.
So whenever we finish these glasses, we'll take a mini break and we'll tell you about the Bayside Blend, which is a red blend. So
which we've also had before.
It must be red blend. It says red wine, but it's Bayside Blend. So yeah. Okay, we're going to jump right into it, but also just note that if you're coming into this without having listened to episode number 23, which is part 1, then go back and listen to that one because that case is crazy up to that point in that one.
God.
And you really need to hear that one to understand.
Yeah. I mean, just don't be stupid. Go back to part 1 before you listen to part 2.
Yes. So, are you ready?
I don't know. Am I?
I don't know. Yeah, we're not going to even touch on what happened in the first one because we're just rolling into it. So, let's just say that shit's going to go crazy real quick. Okay?
Okay.
A few months after, Casey had gotten out, it was gotten out from the other charges. Yes. Yeah, and a few months from now, she's been charged with murder.
Yeah.
So, a few months later, it was December 11th, 2008, in a utility meter reader. Say that fast 3 times.
Yeah. Utility meter reader. Utility meter reader. Utility meter reader. Actually, I did pretty good.
You did somehow that just fine. So
now your turn.
No.
Anyway.
But he had stopped alongside of the road to pee. Shit happens. You gotta go.
Fuck, was her body found? Okay, go on.
Well, he was peering into the woods. He was kind of, whatever. And he saw something that just didn't look quite right. So he went over closer and he poked at it. And it was extremely fucking startling. He ran back to his truck. He called his supervisor, who immediately called 911 to report finding a human skull.
I see why you said Skull and Chain matches our...
Yeah, kind of disturbing, right?
Oh my God, I have chills.
Didn't do that on purpose, by the way. That bottle was already open.
Oh my God. Okay. Okay.
Forensic anthropologists are called to the scene to come collect the remains.
How did this guy see a skull?
Actually, it's a damn good question because I can show you crime scene pictures, and it is heavily Florida wooded.
Yeah.
We live in the northeast, so wooded here does not look the same as wooded in Florida.
Yeah.
But wooded in Florida is jungly, yeah.
Yeah.
Very much. And so it's very wooded there. So I don't really know how he saw it. He must have stepped in just far enough to, get off the road.
Yeah.
And he just saw something that didn't look like the rest of the environment. super weird. Impeccably placed place to go pee. Because if you were 20 feet down the road, you might not have.
Yeah.
You might not have.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
wow.
So these forensic anthropologists, by the way, that for a while was like a job that I really wanted, was to be a forensic anthropologist or a crime scene analyst, but I'm not.
I still think you should go. Nah, you have a pretty good job right now.
I do, and I'm just like too lazy to go back to school now, but damn, I want that job. Anyway, so they're called to the scene to come collect those remains. Dr. Jan Garavaglia, she's also famously known as Dr. G. She's pretty badass, actually. She's written a book. She actually had her own TV show. TV show called Dr. G, Medical Examiner. My mom and I have watched that a couple times, actually.
Really?
Yeah, like she's pretty cool.
Okay.
She was the chief medical examiner for the Orange and Osceola counties. So she had the duty to identify the remains and determine the time and cause of death of, obviously, the body found in this area. Yeah. So she described this scene as 20 feet off the road with lots of ground vegetation, with 2 torn open black plastic bags, the garbage bag kind, as well.
Was there any piece of pizza in there? Maggots? Just questioning.
No, that'd be great, right? Yeah, feed the story the way Casey wants it to be heard.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, no. So, so there was the black plastic bags as well as a large white canvas bag, and there were bones in the bag and now mixed into the vegetation as well. So they had kind of been scattered now.
Did they think like an animal came in?
Yeah.
Okay.
And just nearby the body and those bones is the skull, which is what the worker had found. And with the body, which is now skeletonized, they had found a baby blanket, or at least, a small child's blanket, with Winnie the Pooh and Piglet on it. Like, that was the printed pattern on it. Very tragic, obviously.
Wow.
Yeah. So, the body, like I said, was completely skeletonized when they found it, which suggested that it had been there for quite some time. And it had been, but also remember that this is Florida in June, July. So, oh, my bad. This is Florida.
I was going to say, I thought it was
in December.
Yeah.
But the body had been there for some time.
Since June, July.
So,
yes.
Yeah. So there was a lot of heat involved in Florida, swampiness. So it's easy for the body to decompose.
Yeah, pretty quickly.
Yeah. Also, one of the most shocking things was the location. Do you have the photograph in your notes over there? I don't know if they copied over. I don't think they did. So I will show you. But it is around the corner from the Anthony home. This red circle here, which, guys, we'll post this on Instagram, but this red circle here is where the body was located, in the woods. Not far off, like 20 feet off of the roadway. Mm-hmm. This red line indicates the pathway towards the Anthony house. Right here. What the fuck?
Can I put in a quote here?
Yeah.
She's okay. She's not far.
She's not far. You're right. She's not far.
If you guys don't remember from our last episode, because I don't know how far along they're going to be split.
They're going to be like a day apart, ideally.
Okay. Well, there was a conversation between the mom and Casey Anthony, so Cindy and Casey, where Cindy was like, well, what is your gut telling you? Is she safe or whatever it was?
Yeah.
Casey said,
I know in my heart.
I know she's okay. I know in my heart she's okay. She's not far.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, bitch.
She
wasn't far. We literally said, you made a statement. She's okay. She's not far.
She's literally around the fucking corner.
That pisses me off.
Also pisses me off in the sense that they had a huge search team. That is not far enough for the search team to have not found. I don't understand.
Did they have the search team go in that? They had to have had the
I would
search
have
team
assumed you would
area.
have searched the surrounding areas of the home first in a search. Like, it's a large search company. And that's like what they're known for.
2 garbage bags.
And the blanket and the
and wouldn't
thing.
What about the cadaver dogs?
I don't know, dude. I don't have any idea. It's baffling to me.
You would think that if there's a blanket, they would have used. I mean, unless the cadaver, if the cadaver didn't have, like, or if the dogs didn't have, like, it wasn't happening at the house, maybe it was happening at the impound lot, but, like, you would think that you would bring dogs to the house and then pick up a scent of, like, Kaylee.
Yeah, I'm not sure. All I know is that this utility meter reader yeah, he stumbled upon the most gruesome thing he'll probably ever see in his life.
Poor guy.
Yeah. So, December 19th, now remember it was December 11th that the body was found. So now December 19th, Dr. G confirmed in a press conference that the remains are in fact Kaylee Anthony, and the cause of death was ruled a homicide.
Okay.
Yes. In an
Did
interview,
did they figure out, okay, homicide can cover so much?
Right. Well, for now, we're just going to say that it's ruled a homicide. I will cover listen, guys,
okay,
I'm going to cover this in depth.
Okay, cool.
So, not to worry. But an interview on the Investigation Discovery show, Dr. G said that because the body was decomposed to the degree that it wouldn't be possible for her to exactly say how Kaylee died.
Okay.
But there was at least enough information to determine that it was homicide based on the circumstances, i.e. being found discarded in bags in the woods decomposing. Because that's
Fair.
not what you do if you accidentally or what have you. Like,
somebody wouldn't accidentally be put in a garbage bag.
right. Nothing of that looked like an accidental death. It looked very intentionally placed, intentionally discarded.
Mm-hmm.
So the police are now able to get a warrant to search the Anthony house. They really just want to find anything that could link the crime scene to Casey or the house in some way. They immediately discover that Kaylee's room is decorated with no other than fucking Winnie the Pooh.
Of course.
So this blanket found with Winnie the Pooh and Piglet.
How does she get out of this?
It's insane.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. So if you remember that blanket, yeah, they match. They also found the white canvas at that scene. Yeah, well, guess what? That fucking matched too. That actually was a laundry bag that was sold in a pair set. And in Kaylee's bedroom was one, and the other one was not there. Because why? Well, Kaylee was wrapped up in it.
How did she get away with this?
Well,
like, literally everything points to her.
I know. Well, we'll see.
Oh my god.
Also, remember that Casey still claims that Kaylee was abducted by the nanny.
Yeah.
However, obviously, it's clear that that shit's not adding up because of all of these things that are found at the scene, which directly link to the bedroom, which the nanny didn't have access to. She wasn't staying in the Anthony house. She was claiming she always brought Kaylee to Zenaida, Danny.
Who didn't exist. But okay.
Well, right.
Well, she did, but she didn't.
Right. So, obviously, with this first-degree murder, it's all connecting. So, the first-degree murder charge, sorry.
Yeah.
The
100%.
media surrounding this case is getting wild at that point. And for the general person who was following this case, you know, like me, it would seem clear as day that Casey murdered her daughter. There almost seems like there's no other option.
Yeah.
Because she never reported her missing. She claims the nanny took her. She appeared to have a general lack of concern or really even empathy. Her defense attorney, who is Jose Baez, remember? He, however, stated over and over and over that she was innocent and would show this in court.
So he was pleading that she had no involvement.
Correct. That she was completely innocent.
Tough case to prove.
Right.
Because it's not even like she's trying to prove, like, or he's trying to prove, like...
Rather than saying it was an accident, he's trying to prove that she didn't have any involvement by saying she's innocent. Right. 3 years after Kaylee was found, May 9th, 2011, they start the jury selection process, which you asked me about in the first episode.
Yeah.
Because, yeah, it would have been nearly impossible to find anyone.
I was going to say, if she had her, that is what I thought, okay, maybe she didn't have a fair jury or something because everybody in Florida knew about this because they had open records.
And just the media covered it so heavily.
Yeah, so how did they find somebody who's going to be like, yeah, I can take both sides very unbiased?
Well, obviously, like you just said, yeah, it was hard to find anyone in Orange County.
Understandable.
And honestly, it was pretty hard to find anyone in America who wasn't aware or already decided about this case.
Yeah.
So they chose to select a jury from elsewhere. They could have opted to put her elsewhere and just have the entire trial somewhere, but they chose to keep it there, but they brought the jury in from elsewhere.
Smart.
Yeah. And I personally have never gone to a courthouse to watch a trial happen.
Yeah, me neither.
But it is somewhat popular, especially in like cases that are high profile like this.
I mean, I have seen Judge Judy before, but
haven't we all? But realistically, some people do try to go to the courthouse and go like have a seat in the courtroom and watch these like in person. So this case being as high profile as it was, there was literally people standing outside of the courthouse at like 3-4 o'clock in the morning, because it was kind of a first come first serve. So they were allowing like an amount of space for media, an amount of space for yada yada, and then everything else was first come first serve. So people were going crazy. They were having actual fist fights outside trying to get a spot inside because they felt strongly about this case.
Wow.
So the trial began on May 24th, 2011. And for the next 2 months, all of those jurors that they brought in were sequestered in a hotel. So do you know what that is?
I'm assuming by context clues it means that they all stayed in that hotel, like, so they couldn't leave, so they couldn't discuss any information with any outside, like they were literally there for the entirety of the trial.
Yes. And the prosecution obviously
I did a good job.
You did. Yeah. It's so that there's no outside influence really.
Yeah,
because in a high profile
like family
case
or friends or
media in the area, anything like that, you don't have the TV, like you can't watch TV, your food is brought to you in the hotel, like you're in lockdown.
Yeah.
Which is fine for a case like this. You want that, right?
True.
But it is a lot to ask of someone. The prosecution clearly was going to focus on Casey's lies, her odd behavior, and not reporting her child missing.
The car.
The
people. I guess that falls under lies. The Zanny who didn't exist.
Yep.
The surprise when she said that her child was found dead.
Yep.
Yeah.
She left the car to get towed. It smelled like decomposition.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, like the whole shebang, right?
Yeah.
Every weird thing and lie she said.
Yeah.
But what they do need to prove is why. Why would Casey Anthony murder her daughter?
Well, she didn't want to be a mom in the first place.
Bingo, right?
I do remember that.
Yeah.
That is one thing that, like, I remember her motive being, well, didn't she want to
give her up for adoption?
Yeah.
Which is fine. Not everyone wants to or has the ability or whatever.
Yeah.
I applaud her for recognizing that and wanting to give the child up for adoption, but she didn't.
Yeah.
And now look where we are. They actually do end up talking to a longtime friend of Casey, and she, again, tells them that Casey didn't want to keep the child. When she found that she was pregnant, she wanted to give it up for adoption, but her mom wouldn't let her. So they focus on Casey wanting to live this child-free life.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah. According to People.com, the case has over 400 pieces of evidence and 91 witness testimonies. So there's a lot for everyone to see and hear. Like, a lot.
That's a lot of information.
Yeah.
And she still gets away with it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Before we continue... Oh, damn, girl.
Oh, fuck, I gotta drink this.
Not before we continue. Mm-hmm. We're gonna give it a minute. Never mind. We were gonna open a bottle. Or the can.
You can open yours. I'll just keep... Open yours.
Okay, we'll open the can. So we're gonna... Before we go any further, we're gonna open up the...
You need a drink break.
This bitch is stressful. Ready?
Is.
Sounds like I'm opening beer. It's wine. Promise. Oh, it's... Wow.
Good?
Yeah. So this...
The lobber.
Yeah, the blue lobber. On the can, this is funny. It says, all for wine, wine for all.
Oh my gosh.
And it says it's a bright, vibrant, and juicy with bursts of aromas and flavors of red fruits. That's basically what we've got.
The red lobber.
Blue lobber.
The blue lobber.
I don't know why.
Red wine blue lobber.
Yeah. Sam and I started calling it the blue lobber when we were there,
Yeah.
and it's stuck.
Granted, this was a year ago.
Mm-hmm.
Damn,
Almost like an exact year ago.
that's insane. How was that a year ago?
Also, when Sam and I recorded remotely every other weekend.
Yeah.
What a time.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. So I'll say that this one's like much more fruit forward smell. And it's like fine flavored, but is it my favorite?
No.
No. I think my favorite of the night is almost that Merlot.
I know, the Apothic.
I know. What is
Apothic
happening?
always coming in clutch.
We're really on the fourth wine of the night, guys.
Yeah, actually.
They weren't all full, but we're still on the fourth.
Which is your favorite Apothic still?
I don't know anymore.
Apothic Cab.
Apothic Cab
is so good.
It's smooth. It's not the best cab in the world, but it's
No, but it's
good
just
of a flavor.
You know what we should do?
Have a wine tasting of
All
all Apothic.
Because sometimes I'm like, do they just taste the same? But they don't.
No.
They really don't. Like, Inferno is completely...
Sorry, what is it?
Yeah. I'm not saying it again.
You said it right.
I know. But I almost
But you
didn't.
paused. Inferno.
I hate myself.
Oh no. You can tell we've had some wine now.
Yeah.
We've got the giggles.
Yeah. No, that one's smoky and bourbony.
I liked it.
Apothic Cab is just your typical cab spicy.
Sweet though. Sweet for
Sweet
cab.
spicy, yeah. Sweet and spicy.
Crush.
Crush
Sweet
is just...
and caramely.
Yes. White.
Dark. Oh,
Dark
white.
is like your typical...
Dark
is
berry.
like
Kind of astringent, but
a little astringent.
not terrible.
Merlot's fruity, juicy, and plummy.
Very good.
White is... I do enjoy
Yeah,
the
I haven't
Apothic
had that one in
White.
a while. We should make
We
like
have to go back.
we should do that for like a summer sangria style thing.
Oh, and even, you know what we should do for a sangria?
What?
We should do that as a summer sangria. Apothic Crush is a caramel apple sangria.
Oh, bitch, yes.
Oh my god. I'm so excited for fall, even though it's July.
I know, you and me both. You, me, and Alyssa.
Yeah.
Because literally Alyssa and I watched Hocus Pocus last night.
Did you?
Sorry, not sorry.
I love you guys. Oh my god, that's amazing.
Oh,
That is
yes,
so
it
exciting. You
was-
just needed a sangria to go with it and
Yeah,
some
it
like...
would have been perfect. We
like-
had wine. We had some of the Skull and Chain.
Yeah,
Yeah,
nice.
that's why I was open already.
That's amazing.
Ugh.
You needed to do it when it was like thunderstorming because I feel like that's when you
Ooh,
could be
perfect.
cozy. Yeah.
So, all right. You know what, guys? Sorry.
All right, let's keep going.
We're going to get back to this. So now we're going to go back to the defense. Or not even back. We're going to go to the defense. And because the defense now gets to defend these reasons that the prosecution has laid out. So all of the lies, yada, yada. Jose Baez comes in and says, it's simple.
Why does Baez sound like biased?
Right?
Jose Baez.
Yeah, he is.
Anyway.
Yeah, but on the wrong side.
Yes.
Anyway, so he comes in and says, it's simple. She never was missing. And you're like, huh? Because, yeah, same. Well,
Yeah.
buckle up, bitch, because this is about to get fucked up.
Okay. Okay.
You'll never guess. You literally could never guess what he's about to drop here. So,
He's about to drop.
oh yeah.
Okay. I'm gonna just sit back and...
And just wait, because the
Buckle
defense just goes on a wild ride. So, Baez claims that on June 16th, which was the last day that anyone ever saw Kaylee, Cindy went to work, per usual. And so, Casey and George are home with Kaylee, right?
Wait, did this actually happen?
No. So, this is just what Jose is laying out for
Okay.
his
His
side.
theory.
Yes.
Okay.
His defense to what the prosecution has laid out.
Gotcha.
So, they're there, and they can't find Kaylee anywhere. They're looking for her everywhere. They're calling her. They're looking in all the rooms. Yeah. Well, then George goes out into the backyard and finds Kaylee in the swimming pool, and he scoops her out as Casey's running out of the house and yells, "Look at what you've done. Your mother will never forgive you, and you'll go to jail for child neglect for the rest of your freaking life." As, like, Jose said this. Jose said that George said this. You can watch that. There's a clip of that.
What did George say?
Oh, well, he's not allowed to be saying anything right now because he can't dispute that in court right now in any sort. He actually can't dispute it in court, like, at all. Like, that's not what he's there
Does anybody
for.
ask, like, what's her face? If this is the actual thing that happened?
Casey?
Yeah.
Well, Casey's never going to deny that because that's an easy out for her. It was an accident.
Oh, my.
So, yeah, I mean, I really would recommend that everybody goes and watches this clip.
Wait, was her body found in 2 bags or 1 bag?
It was like a 2-bag situation.
2 bags, like, double bagged, or 2 bags, like, 2 separate bags?
Not 2 separate bags. I
Oh.
don't think. I think it was either double bagged and or kind of like bag on one end, bag on the other end, kind of tubular bagging. I'm not sure.
Exactly.
But 2 bags.
I was going to say, if she was found in 2 bags and
she was already decomposed and then placed. No.
Or she was chopped up.
Oh, God, placed. No. Okay, yeah, no. No, and I know she wasn't chopped up for other reasons, so we'll get to that. But, well, Jose claims that Casey begged her father to help her and that Casey didn't dispose of her body. George did. He was the one to put her in the plastic bags. And he also added, well, Baez also added that George used to do that to their family pets that died, burying them in the yard. Sure, people do bury their pets in their yard. That's not even weird. What's weird is to bring that up in the same relation to a missing, now found dead 2-year-old.
Yeah.
Out of the blue.
So now he's pinning this on George?
Yeah.
So now he's like, my person is innocent. You really should be looking at this fucking asshole.
Yeah. Who's not actually a fucking asshole.
Yeah, no.
He's not lying.
And who's literally like, I don't want to believe that my daughter could have been capable of something like this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
We have 2 liars who are working very closely together.
Yeah. So how does Baez address her being Casey? How does Baez address her constant lying? Because, yeah, remember, she was lying about Zenaida. She was lying about her job. She's been lying about fucking everything. Well, he doesn't disagree at all that Casey is, in fact, a liar. But he says that Casey has been taught to lie by her father to hide sexual abuse from him from the age of 8. It comes out of fucking left field. He literally even says, like, and I didn't write this down because I wasn't actually going to say it because it's pretty fucking rude. It's rude to even put these accusations out there. Because they're accusations not founded by anything. But that, I can't pause. I'm going to look up this quote, guys.
Wait, what the actual fuck? So, is that proven to be true? Did Casey say anything about, like, that happened? Like, is this something that there's actually, like, room to stand on? None. Mm-mm. No room? Mm-mm. What did Cindy say about that?
Nothing.
Wow. So now they're fucking blaming the dad for all this shit when the dad's like, wow.
Mm-hmm. Okay, well, I can't find the quote, like, quickly, but basically I know that it said something like, paraphrasing here, but that when Casey was like 13, I think, that she would wake up and then have her father's penis in her mouth and then go to school and talk to her friends like nothing ever happened. Yeah.
That came out of Casey's.
That came out of Baez's defense from fucking nowhere.
What?
Yeah, that's his reasoning for her lying was that George used to, like, molest her and taught her how to lie.
Okay, like, I don't want to discredit that if that's real, but, like, if there's nothing else to prove, like, if that wasn't proven to be real, how can you just throw that out there?
Also, it's literally not relevant to Kaylee's death.
Well, if he's saying that that's why she lied and that's why she's, like...
Lied about everything? You can't just say...
I mean, I think it's like a character thing. Like...
So she's a piece of shit.
Well, I completely agree with you.
That's, I think, what he's getting at. But I will tell you, like, right now, that, and I'll touch upon it later again, that the judge doesn't allow this to be brought up again.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
Just note that.
Good to know.
Yeah. So
he literally, or the judge is literally saying that this has no piece in the court for this case.
Right.
That's a different case.
Right.
We'll talk about this at a later date.
If that needs to be addressed, that needs to be addressed, but that is not this. That is not this.
Okay.
So
that
now,
answers my question.
Yeah. and to further answer your question, there has never been evidence brought forth to prove that.
So Baez is also just a liar.
He is overzealously representing his client, I would say, in that moment. But that's my opinion of that. I just think that was not all right to bring in, but, hey, I'm not a lawyer.
True.
So now with all of that, the prosecution gets to take their side, and they brought George on the stand, and they asked him if he ever sexually molested his daughter, and he said, "No, sir." Then they asked him if he was present in his home when Kaylee died, and he said, quote, "No." When I heard that today, it hurt really bad. And he was, like, on the very verge of losing it.
Understandably.
Yeah. Now, they brought in the recordings between Casey and George from visits before the trial. So, you want to be Dad or you want to be Casey?
Dad.
Okay.
Any stuff you want to talk to me about? Anything? It's just nice hearing everything that's going on. I mean, I miss you guys. And I love you. I know you do. I love you too. You've been a great dad. And you've been the best grandfather. Don't for a second think otherwise. I want to see all of you. But I wanted to see the one person that I've been so far disconnected from the longest, and that's been you.
What the fuck does that mean?
Well, to be honest, I don't know. But the fact that she did just say you've been a great dad and the best grandfather doesn't really...
You've been a good grandfather. You've been a good dad. Meaning that she's... I mean, well, I guess at this point they know that she's dead.
She's dead. But I think but that recording is pre that anyway. But what I'm getting at is that doesn't necessarily... There would be no reason for her, this isn't public for her at that point in time.
Yeah.
And why would she say all of that shit to a person who molested her and yada yada? Like, that's your argument, and then that is that. They don't connect very well. That is all. That is all that is. So, it just kind of shows, like, a healthy, loving relationship, not one that's been forced since the age of 8.
I see what you're bringing in, yeah.
Yeah. And, then the defense can question George, and rather than asking about the alleged sexual abuse that Baez talked about in his opening statement, he makes a new statement / sort of question saying, quote, "In January 2009, you attempted to commit suicide. Did you, sir?"
Oh, shit.
To which George answers, quote, "Yes, sir, I did." And then they asked him a few more questions, and George just really broke down on the stand. Like,
so Baez's ability to get his people to be proven not guilty, if you will, is by just bringing up a bunch of other information that's not relevant to the case.
Shifting blame.
Yeah.
Really, rather than addressing.
Yeah, because he has nothing else that he can be like, she didn't do it, because there's so much evidence, so he has to be like, this is your fucked up family life.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, that's fucked up to bring up, like.
It is all super fucked up. And George then explains in an interview on the Investigation Discovery show, in relation to these questions on stand, that he did indeed drive down to some shitty hotel in Daytona, and he did try to take his life with a shit ton of pills and beer after Kaylee's body was found. He did, because he had written a note to his family, or a letter, explaining that, he felt like he failed them and he just couldn't go on. However, he didn't die, and he's alive, and he's talking about it, and I think it's pretty fucked up to ask somebody about that. But the defense actually used that note against him and tried to say that the note was him apologizing for his part in Kaylee's death. Because remember, they pinned him as the one that's disposing of the body after finding it in the pool.
So I'm gonna play devil's advocate as much as this kills me.
Yeah.
I don't agree that, like, I
see where they're
I see
coming
why
from.
they did that.
Yeah.
They're trying to not put the blame on Casey. And so, I mean, if you look at the...
You're going to grab at straws if you got him.
Exactly.
Like,
so, like, it could look as a guilty thing that after they found out this evidence, that after they found the body, then the person who is family commits suicide and is like, oh, I failed you guys. Like, I could see where they tried to pin that.
yeah.
So I see why it was brought up in case. In
No,
the courtroom.
Listen, I get the attempt.
Yeah.
I just think it's fucked up.
Oh, for sure.
Because
And
I
then
can see both sides, and I
Yeah.
know who fucking did it, and it's not George.
Yeah.
So that is where my problem lies here, but I digress. We will discuss later.
I still want to know more information about, like, the evidence in the car.
Okay, well, I'll get to that. Don't you worry.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
yeah. So it's now the prosecution's turn again, and they go back to how the car smelled.
You're getting into it now.
So they go back to how the car smelled when it was picked up from the impound lot, and that call made to the police by Cindy. But they needed something more than just like, oh yeah, it smelled terrible, because I get it smelled terrible, but that's subjective technically.
Yeah.
And it is not evidence based on that. So
And then she subjectively stated that she realized
then
the
it was
smell
pizza.
Yeah.
Right. So yes,
completely
you need
understandable.
something. So if we go back to that large stain that they'd actually also found in the trunk of the car that Casey had been driving, they had the carpet samples. No, they had the carpet tested. The sample of the carpet they had cut out, they had it tested. And they had the scientist. His name is Dr. Voss. And
Cool name. Anyway.
Yeah, he had developed a method of testing the air for decomposition gases.
Brilliant.
It's fascinating.
Wow, that's so smart.
It
Because
is.
that makes sense. So much sense. Especially if it's in an enclosed area
Right.
where it's like a trunk.
So this
course
piece
you're
of
gonna have
carpet,
gases.
they take this piece of carpet and they put it into a clean, empty paint can. And
Wow, so smart.
it's covered. And so obviously that is allowing the vapors to come out of and off of that piece of carpet. And then they can collect a sample of the vapors from that and run it through this device that he's created. And it can identify the chemicals in that sample.
That's amazing.
Fucking fascinating, right?
That is the coolest shit.
So cool.
Like, if you're into decomposing bodies, that's the coolest shit I've ever heard of.
If you're into like forensic science like I am,
Yeah.
like that shit's cool.
Yeah. The fact that somebody freaking thought of that, like,
Yeah.
like, that's brilliant.
And developed it. Not only
Yeah.
thought about it, but developed
Created a
it.
device. How do you even start there?
Fucking beats me, dude. Well, so the prosecution then has Dr. Voss take the stand,
I
and
like this dude.
and then they ask him about his opinion on the results of the sample, indicating whether or not there was a dead body in the trunk of this car at some point. And he said that he believed, based on the results, that it was the only plausible explanation.
Mm-hmm.
Because, yeah, right? So, but they still really needed to prove that the body was in the trunk at some point, or that the body that was in the trunk at some point was Kaylee's.
Yeah.
Because, great, like, I mean, I hope you don't have more than one decomposing body in your trunk.
Exactly.
But,
True.
goddamn, you know? But, luckily for the prosecution, they had those hair samples that they had found in the trunk as well. They sent those over to the FBI crime lab for testing. Hair analysts, which, yes, that's a job, right? Crazy. Hair analysts check the hair. Well, they check it microscopically first.
Yeah.
Like, they visually check it, right? And then they also test it for mitochondrial DNA.
Yeah.
Mitochondrial DNA, for anyone who doesn't know, is DNA that can only be found on the maternal side. So this hair would have needed to have been Kaylee's, Casey's, or Cindy's. However, this sample that they had was an untreated, light brown, and 9-inch long hair. So therefore it was not Casey or Cindy, which really left Kaylee as the only other option.
When they say untreated, they mean like no dyes.
No dyes, no perms, nothing.
Can that wear off over time?
Mm-mm. Chemically treated anything is going to be on that hair. You'll know the difference between virgin hair and treated hair.
Oh,
like
really?
always, yeah.
Huh.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know that.
Yep.
Like, I wasn't sure if, like, okay, maybe it was just a long time since Cindy and...
You'd have a growth line on the hair.
Interesting.
Yeah, hair is actually extremely valuable. It is fascinating.
So the fact that they could tell it was untreated... So did they take, like, hair samples of Cindy's and...
I really don't even think they did that, but it's just based on the fact that Cindy's hair is blonde and Kaylee's hair was like dark brown, and Kaylee's hair was light brown.
Casey's hair was dark brown, you mean? I think you said Kaylee.
Oh yeah,
and Kaylee.
Casey's hair was dark brown, like almost not black, but dark brown.
Okay.
And yeah, Cindy's was like blonde.
Gotcha.
So having a light brown untreated hair,
Yeah,
with DNA
that proved that it was one of those people. Okay.
Yeah. So
So
it had to have
she was in the back of the car.
Right.
And why would a 2-year-old be in the back of a car?
In the trunk of the car.
Yeah. It's not like, oh, maybe the hair just fell off and it's on the... Like, okay, if there was hair in the car, you can explain that. Because
Right,
a 2-year-old's
I
going to
fucking
be in
drop
the
my
car.
hair everywhere.
Yeah, exactly. Why would a 2-year-old be in the trunk?
With the stain that also was with the decomposition gases. And yeah, it adds up to not a great scene.
Yeah.
Yeah. So here's the other thing. Something interesting that they found on this hair was a dark brown banding, like ring, it was really close to the root. And this often is called a decomposition band.
Oh my god.
Because I'm sure you can guess. Yeah. It's most often found on the hair of a decomposing body.
So she was in the car for a little bit of time.
You don't even have to be decomposing for very long. You decompose real quick, actually.
Oh. Okay.
Within a couple of hours, decomposition is happening.
Yeah, true. Okay.
You don't even, even more to your point. Yeah, she didn't have to be there forever, so. Okay. The hair analyst was asked in court by the prosecution if there was any evidence of that apparent, of apparent decomposition. And they answered, yeah. They found or noticed that there was hair with those characteristics.
Okay.
Together, those two pieces of evidence strongly point towards Kaylee having been deceased and in the trunk of the car at some point. Well, the prosecution also has to give an explanation of how Kaylee died, which is harder, I'll say, than to say that she did die here, kind of thing.
I feel like so many people, though, go to jail without having all of this information.
True.
And they are charged and sentenced to being guilty for blah, blah, blah.
I feel like sometimes it's just more obvious. Although this is pretty damn obvious
people
to me.
Who aren't guilty.
Oh,
is what I mean.
You're right. It all depends on your jury, I'd say.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, among the chemicals that were detected in that sample by Dr. Voss, chloroform was detected.
Oh.
So this alone isn't actually extremely alarming because it is a chemical that is naturally released as decomposition is happening, but the quantity that they detected was highly suspicious. Yeah.
I remember, Yeah.
It was a very well-known part of this case. Mm-hmm. So because this level of chloroform found was so much higher than than anyone would have expected, the police actually searched the computer now at the Anthony home.
I remember this.
Yes. So I remember in the first episode you were telling me that you thought she was looking up how to get rid of a dead body or something.
But it was the chloroform.
It was chloroform.
This is what I remember.
Yep. And I didn't want to butt in there.
Yeah.
I just wanted to I wanted to see what you thought. Yep. For real. And you remembered some of it. So it was how to make chloroform, which is shockingly not that difficult to make at home. You can make it with household chemical item type things. It's not that bad. Don't say it
so people are like,
I have no
learned
idea.
how to make
Listen,
chloroform.
I didn't search that. I'm not searching that on my computer.
Point.
Because I search enough weird ass shit for
Not
murder
searching that.
cases. I'm
Yeah.
not searching that.
Yeah, no. I was going to say, and we don't need to be telling people how to make that.
Absolutely not. And there's no reason that any normal person needs chloroform. So please,
Yeah.
for the love of God, don't
Do
fucking
not go
do
searching that. Yeah.
But the prosecution was using the search on the computer, as evidence to show premeditation. So first degree
Fair.
murder.
Yeah, because she had to put thought into it.
Right. So the prosecution calls Dr. G, the chief medical...
G. I keep thinking Dr. like Google, because I always call Google Dr. G.
No, but
Dr.
she's
G.
probably like real
Yeah,
smart, just
probably.
like that. Maybe not that smart, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
So they call her to the stand to question her about the body, because yes, she was the one that had to go over the body, and she notes that it was found in bags in the woods, which indicated
Yeah. And yep.
an attempt to hide the body.
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah. She also stated that while they looked at every bone under a microscope looking for any marks left behind or anything that could show the cause of death, there was no physical trauma that was actually on any of the bones. So there was no obvious like murder weapon used.
Okay.
However, she did say that one notable piece of evidence found at the scene was what appeared to be gray duct tape over the lower half of the jaw area on the skull.
Huh.
So your mandible is only really held to your skull. So your bottom jaw is really only held to your skull with muscles, ligaments, yada yada, that kind of shit. So things that when you decompose to a skeleton aren't going to hold it there. But it was held there because there was a piece of tape.
Okay.
She also obviously points out that there's no reason that any child should have duct tape on their face when they die, or put even more so, say you die accidentally, well, you wouldn't put duct tape on their face then after they died.
I'm confused as to why the duct tape was there.
Well, she's saying basically that it was used as the cause of or assistance in her death.
Like putting like the chloroform stuff on
So
her?
chloroform wouldn't have killed her.
Yeah, that's why I'm confused.
So,
How would, like, do you just duct tape her mouth shut?
well, yeah, the
But
prosecution...
then if you have duct taping her mouth shut, wouldn't you need to duct tape her nose?
Well,
like,
she's tiny.
yeah, but
Her nose and her mouth don't really take up much space. She's 2.
I'm picturing it like, okay.
So the prosecution actually did use like an image that they kind of like cross-faded
Can
into
duct
each other.
taping somebody's mouth and nose be the, like...
Yeah, because you would suffocate and you're passed out because chloroform. So you've got no like bodily reaction to take it off
Okay, I see.
because you're full on like knocked out.
So she knocked her out first, then put duct tape on.
That's what they're going for here, because they do use like the cross dissolve kind of image where it shows like the crime scene piece of duct tape, which is disturbing to look at, honestly.
Yeah, I don't know if I want to see that.
It's duct tape.
Oh.
I mean, I say it's disturbing because in my mind I'm really watching, like in my head, this cross dissolve of watching this piece of duct tape that was holding the mandible on. So if you think about that, like, and then across the face in year 2, this piece of duct tape doesn't have to be very big to cover both your mouth and your nose.
Fair.
So with all of that evidence laid out, that's how the prosecution tells their theory of how Kaylee died.
Okay.
They believe that on June 16th, Casey pressed the chloroform onto Kaylee's face, which made her pass out. Then she used the duct tape to cover her mouth and nose with that one piece, which would have been possible. And then Kaylee could not breathe, and she died. Then Casey wrapped her in that Winnie the Pooh blanket and then put her body in that laundry bag, and then placed the laundry bag into the garbage bags, which she then put into the trunk of her car. Then she went to her boyfriend Tony's house, and because we know that she did see him that night, which I'll get to in a minute. But we do know that she was with Tony that night. And then they theorize that the next evening, she likely brought the body out into the woods on that in that area, and pretended like nothing ever happened.
So Tony's also in on it too.
They don't think so, actually.
Really?
Yep. Because remember, Tony kept asking, hey, like, where's Kaylee? And she would say, oh, with mom. Or, with the nanny.
But was that just another lie?
I don't think so, actually. Okay. I think Tony has no idea.
Okay.
So, why would she do this? Obviously, no one knows, but the prosecution kind of needs to explain this.
Yeah.
So, remember, we were talking about...
she doesn't want to be a mom. She
right.
never wanted to be a mom.
She never wanted to be. So, they have to prove that Casey wanted to live a happy, child-free life.
I mean, can't she also just be a fucking psychopath?
Yeah, she can be, but it'd be easier to prove with actual evidence, right? So they bring Tony in to the stand, and Casey saw Tony the night of June 16th, which was that last night, right? And there is security footage of Casey and Tony at Blockbuster. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, I remember Blockbuster.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
They were picking out a movie, and they were leaving. So the prosecution asked Tony about Casey's behavior that night, and he said that she was happy. She didn't really seem sad or upset or mention at all that Kaylee was missing, which is really fucking weird to me, but hey. Yeah. And then Tony's roommate and him were DJs, and they would go out and DJ together.
Okay.
So June 20th, they were out DJing at some club, and they hosted a hot body contest, which Casey competed in. And
my gosh.
Truly, in a minute I'll show you, but there's these infamous pictures of Casey out there dancing.
I remember that too, actually. Yeah. Like, not the pictures, but I remember it being like, she was partying it up.
She was partying hard.
Yeah.
She was happy looking. She was, like, grinding on other women. She was in this, like, nice looking dress. Like, here's what pisses me off, too. She's pretty, and she's got a good body, and she seemed like she was a great mother up until this point.
Clearly.
And, I don't know. It's just annoying. Like, what are you doing?
Yeah. You could be a good person.
Yeah. To make matters worse for Casey, the prosecution brings up the fact and brings the person. So Casey's tattoo artist, they bring onto the stand because after June 16th, she went and got a new tattoo, which said Bella Vita, which means beautiful life in Italian, which is just another fucking weird thing that you would not do when your daughter's missing. Why would you get a tattoo that says beautiful life? Yeah. Unless you're really happy that all of a sudden you're living this child-free life. Like, it just doesn't make sense.
Yep.
So, here, I'm going to show you these pictures, but this is her out partying.
Which one? The one on the right?
Yep. And then this.
Oh, my goodness.
Partying hard. And partying hard.
Oh, my God. Yeah, she is.
Yeah.
She's partying hard.
Yeah.
Like, super happy.
Very. We can also post those on Instagram.
We should.
Yeah. It really proves, wrong word. It really shows something about her personality.
Yeah. Did it say at any point the day that she realized she thought her daughter was missing? So if we are going off of that, did that make sense?
It makes sense.
Like, did she, in her story, not in her mind, because we all know it was a lie, in her story, did she say that she thought she was missing at what date? Like,
it depends on what story you want to believe. She's pointed out multiple times, right? Because she said that she knew immediately the day of, but she didn't want to report it because she was embarrassed.
Oh, yeah.
Then there was also the fact that she just straight up kind of acted like she had no fucking clue.
For 30 days.
And
she was with the Zanny.
Yeah. So, one of those two, but neither of them make sense. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, the prosecution has now laid out the evidence and their theory, and the defense gets to come back and try to poke holes at it and cause the jury to have reasonable doubt. So, the first thing that Baez does is tries to dispute the evidence that there was a body found in the trunk of the car.
How?
Well, he claims that there was a bag of garbage in the trunk that Casey forgot about.
It smelled like chloroform?
And that it sat in there while it was in the impound lot, and that was the source of said foul smell. Right. Doesn't work for me. That was the best he had. Then Baez calls Cindy to the stand to question her about the smell, and she said now, and I quote, I did not believe it was rotting flesh. And he said, quote, and that's because you believe it was garbage? Quote, yes, sir.
You lying bitch.
No. We all remember the call, which literally said,
why would you say?
I smell.
So did they bring that in? Did the...
Yes. Yeah. And she said that it was a ploy to get the police to respond quicker at the time. Because if you're frantic and something like that, the police are going to come quicker. I mean...
Oh my God, this whole family is lying.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, nope, not George.
I was just going to say George doesn't feel as bad.
Yep.
That's probably why George wanted to commit suicide.
Yeah.
I'm sorry that I'm bringing this up, George. But, like, because if you're stuck in this lie now and you can't get out of it.
Yeah, and he doesn't believe it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he doesn't want to believe it. And, like, so now he's like, all right, I failed her. I failed my wife.
Yeah, my wife believes my
lying
daughter.
They're going to keep lying. I'm done.
I can see where he could have felt like he had no one and no other solution.
Yep.
But I'm glad he didn't, because that's not the way.
No.
So, Baez then attacks this chemical vapor evidence. He asks Dr. Voss if this was the first time he'd given that type of testimony in court of law.
Oh, no.
Which was accurate, because that procedure was, at the time, not one that had ever been used in a courtroom before. And then Baez challenges the procedure and Dr. Voss's qualifications, because this type of collection and analysis of vapor would involve chemistry. And Baez states that Dr. Voss is not a chemist, and he's an anthropologist. So he's trying to discredit this.
Oh, my God.
Now, this is not to say that this method is wrong or inaccurate. It's just that Baez wanted to inform the jury that Dr. Voss is not a chemist, and that would plant seeds of reasonable doubt in a jury's mind about something like that.
Yeah.
And that's fair.
He did a good job with that one.
Yeah, I'll give him that, because sure, you didn't lie. So, fine. He also calls into question the finding of chloroform in the trunk, because in small quantities it's often found in common items, so it's not like completely unreasonable, right? But then you can remember that weird Google search of how to make chloroform.
Yeah.
Well, the prosecution felt that because of the time frame that the search was made on that computer in the Anthony house, that it would have only been able to have been done by Casey. Baez brings Cindy to the stand to ask her if she ever searched for chloroform on the computer, and she said yes. She said that she was looking up chlorophyll, and that and she's not wrong, when you start to Google something, you search a couple letters, it will auto-populate.
Yep.
So that's, I get that, but she says that she started to type the letters in because she was trying to look up chlorophyll, because they had bamboo in their yard, and their dog was getting sick after eating the bamboo leaves, and she was concerned about their toxicity. So for, one reason or another, she ended up clicking on the chloroform instead of chlorophyll, and there you go.
So that he just discredited another thing.
He tried, but the prosecution came back to argue that, well, Cindy says she was home to search about the chloroform on March 17th, which was when this was searched. Her work records show that she was at work in her office. And she just, blatantly says on the stand, well, quote, if those computer entries were made, then I made them. I was home. She literally has, work records showing she's at work. She's not at home. She didn't search that.
Yeah.
So it's not possible.
I have a feeling that they all got together and they are all like, okay, fucking Casey's too dumb to keep lying about this, so we have to start lying about it.
Yeah. But George ain't on board.
No, which is why he tried to kill himself.
Right. It's sad.
Oh my goodness.
So, yeah. So clearly, Cindy's trying to take some heat for these pieces of evidence that are quite damning. And then the defense calls into question the entirety of the crime scene.
Makes sense, because then they fucked with it. Because if they had the garbage, like, they called the police. No, is that one not?
No, that is right. But what were you going to finish?
I was going to say, like, the crime scene, meaning the car.
Oh, you're right, but that's not the crime scene that Baez is talking about.
Oh.
He's talking about the crime scene where the body was actually found, because the utility worker actually admitted to and did use a stick poked into the eye socket to lift up the skull to see what it was.
How many other crime scenes are also disturbed and stuff like that?
Probably
Almost
most
all
of them.
Yeah.
But Baez was taking that and really trying to just prove that nothing that was found at the crime scene could be used because it was compromised and contaminated. Not true. And the guy literally on stand apologized because he didn't mean to fuck up anything, but
nobody wants.
He was shocked and was like, "Oh, is that a human skull? Oh my god, it's a human." Yeah. So Baez brings in this man named Dr. Spitz, who is a pathologist who is highly regarded. He has testified in the JFK assassination case. He has testified in the OJ case. He's
really well known.
Yeah. He conducted his own autopsy on Kaylee's body and came to the conclusion that there was no accurate way to point to where the duct tape was on her remains because there was no evidence to support that there was any duct tape residue on the bone.
Because it was on the skin.
Right.
It wasn't on the bone.
But he also said there was no duct tape, or there was no skin found on the duct tape. No DNA found on the duct tape. So his whole point of that was that because those cannot be found, you cannot therefore then conclude that that was the ultimate murder weapon. But the prosecution argues that if the elements that the body was left in were enough to decompose it to literal bare bones in
decompose
6
glue.
months. Yeah. It could completely, why would DNA be left behind? If there's no DNA left anywhere else.
Yeah.
There's no skin.
On her actual body. Yeah.
Right. That's not going to be the one thing that I'm kind of, I don't know. I'm not a crime analyst. I don't know how duct tape and skin DNA works, but I can see the prosecution's argument. I can also see the argument that there's no DNA on it, so I can't say that's what caused it. I can't say 100% that's what caused it, but one can deduce.
Freaking child's 2-year-old's body in the woods in a
with duct tape on
her,
yeah. Mm-hmm, yeah, which it shouldn't be there.
Yeah.
There's no good reason. So the defense picks apart the evidence of Casey's wild partying behavior, by asking her friends and family if they believed that Casey was a good mother, if they'd ever suspected abuse or neglect, and they all denied neglect or abuse and that she was a loving mother. And honestly, I believe them up until that point. She never really did seem like she was in a bad place or anything like that. So I don't understand, really. But
she was also a liar the entire time she lived.
This is very true. And she never really did want the child, right?
Yep.
So, also, the defense pointed out that Casey had a ton of support raising Kaylee, financially, emotionally. She lived with her parents who took care of both of them. Did she really need to kill her daughter to have a child-free life? No. And then the defense rested their case, saying that Casey is just completely innocent. Fucking wild.
That's where it ends?
No, but that's where the defense rested their case. So they both are going to do that, and then you're going to have your closing arguments. So, do you remember the wild claims that Baez made in the opening statements?
Yeah, with the abuse, the sexual abuse.
Mm-hmm. And how he thought she died.
With the drowning.
Yeah.
Yep.
And that George was the one that helped Casey cover it up. Yeah. Well, those never came back up again once in the entire trial because there was no evidence.
Fake. Yeah.
Because there was nothing to support those claims. So they were just claims that you just willy-nilly hoped for.
This is my theory.
Yeah. In the closing arguments, the prosecution says that the evidence proves beyond a reasonable doubt that Casey chose to murder her daughter to live a carefree, child-free life. They put up on this giant screen in the courtroom Pictures of her having a grand old time dancing out at the club. They showed the pictures of her tattoo. All of those, knowing that her daughter was never coming home. Like, those incidents were happening well after. Well, not well after. Even just days after.
She knew that her daughter was at least in some sort of harm.
Right. The judge wouldn't even allow the defense to address the sexual claims of abuse, like I said, in the closing arguments, because it didn't work. So, yeah. Baez does, however, address that he believes the prosecution didn't prove anything about how, when, or where Kaylee died, which I don't think he's wrong. I don't really think that they necessarily proved that greatly.
But
she's still dead with evidence to prove that she's
you don't need
died.
to have all of the evidence.
Right.
The date, the time stamps.
Right.
But, it's still, she still fucking did it.
Right. One can deduce from evidence given the rest of the story.
I wonder if he would ever be like, no, he couldn't. He could never be like, wow. If he actually knows.
Oh, I'm sure he actually knows, but
I wonder if he's, can sleep at night.
Probably just fine. He got paid pretty well, I'm sure.
I could never. The moral, ethical dilemmas I would be having with myself.
I know. I don't think he's got those, but
yeah, I can't.
He ended his argument with a photo of Kaylee in the Anthony house by the back door, which is the one that leads to the backyard with the pool. So he argued that Kaylee let herself outside and then accidentally drowned. And those were the closing arguments.
But I was going to say, was there any, water or anything, but her body's so decomposed that they're not going to figure that out?
Right, there was no way see.
What's-her-face drowned her?
It could have, but what was the duct tape for?
Making sure that her mouth stayed shut? I don't know.
You wouldn't drown if you didn't get water in your mouth. Or in your lungs. Not in your mouth, but,
I don't know.
Nothing makes sense.
Yeah.
So, 33 days of testimony later, and the jury now has to, I know it's a long one, and the jury now has to decide the fate of Casey Anthony. Mm-hmm. Will they convict her of first-degree murder?
They should.
They should, but you know what? I can't even say yes on first degree because that would involve premeditation. It's hard to prove that, but you could have gone for a lesser charge, and that would have been great. Come on, guys.
I still think the computer search proves that.
It does prove to me, but if you just wanted to get something, you could have gone with a lesser charge.
Gotcha.
Right? So, on July 5th, 2011, around 11 hours of deliberation later, the jury found Casey Anthony not guilty on the charges of first-degree murder, not guilty on the charges of aggravated manslaughter of a child, and not guilty on the charges of aggravated child abuse. Are you surprised?
Completely.
Are you disturbed?
Completely.
Yes. Are you enraged?
I'm what's even the good word? I'm just
dumbstruck.
I'm just disappointed. I'm sitting here okay, well, that fucking sucks.
Yeah.
But they can't.
Well, can I tell you that even the judge was surprised? He literally said that he thought there was enough evidence to sustain a guilty verdict on at least one of the homicide charges.
That's actually crazy.
Yeah. He fucking believed it.
How did the jury...
I'll kind of touch on it, but, what the fuck, dude?
Who was, the jury made of? I know it was not people in the area, but it was, people in the States, I'm assuming?
I think from anywhere. I'm not sure, actually, but there's, a good amount of people that, in theory, are unbiased.
Wow. That's insane.
Yes. So... she was found guilty on 4 misdemeanor charges of providing false information.
Slap her on the wrist.
Yeah, of providing false information to law enforcement. Each carried a year sentence to be served consecutively. So, 4 years total. But she had already been in prison for the 3 years that it took between...
So she only needed 1 more year?
She only needed 1 more year, but you can get time off for good behavior. And
so she got out?
She got out 10 days later. Yes. So on July 17th... 2011, this bitch was released from prison. Damn, dude.
Oh, my God.
Literally after the trial, Baez said in a press conference, quote, "I know I can go home today and my daughter will ask me, 'What did you do today?' And I can say I saved a life.
I, like, don't even have words.
Whose?
I'm so mad.
It's awful.
Like, now he tries to be like, I'm a family man. No, you're not.
No,
like,
you're not.
You literally, I don't know how you sleep at night. Like, I hope this haunts you because
I don't think it does. I think he's sleeping just fine, I think.
that's so disturbing.
Mm-hmm.
Like, she clearly did that. There is so much evidence and information to be like, to prove it.
Mm-hmm.
The judge believed it.
I know. That's insane. And obviously, like, general public who'd been following the case for years, like me at that point, was not happy about this. Absolutely not. We were shocked. We were angry. There was even a short clip of Nancy Grace in the investigation Discovery show saying, quote, somewhere out there, the devil is dancing tonight. And you know what? She ain't wrong.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Like, I'm not always the biggest Nancy Grace fan, but she hit the nail on the head right there.
I was just going to say, like, what that?
Yeah. So,
Wow.
yeah, and obviously people were mad at Casey because they had
Everybody
been
hated her. I
years for
remember
that point.
that.
Yeah. People still hate her.
Oh my god, yeah.
But now they're also mad at the jurors because it was ultimately the jurors who decided
How did they have a
this.
conversation about this for 11 hours?
And then you still went not guilty? Yeah. But these jurors did not deserve death threats, which they were now receiving.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And that is also absolutely not okay. You cannot do that, and they do not deserve that. They did their best.
Yeah.
One juror said, quote, I'm not saying Casey was innocent. It's just the prosecution didn't prove their case.
Yes, they did.
They couldn't say how she died. They couldn't connect Casey to the murder. It's all circumstantial evidence, the whole case. And another juror told People, quote, generally, none of us liked Casey Anthony at all. She seems like a horrible person, but the prosecutors did not give us enough evidence to convict. They gave us a lot of stuff that makes us think that she probably did something wrong, but not beyond a reasonable doubt. Do I agree with that? I wasn't in the courtroom. I didn't hear all the evidence. I don't know 100%. Based on what I've seen, the bitch is guilty.
Yeah, there's literally so much that just doesn't add up.
Right. So the judge pointed out that while the prosecution was going for the death penalty, it was going to be almost impossible to get that sentence because the body was so decomposed that no one definitively answered like how she actually died. Like there's a good understanding.
Could they have done a lesser charge and then...
That's what I don't understand, why no one went for a lesser charge.
Yeah.
So I really do think the prosecution kind of dropped a ball in the way because they were really banking on the jurors being able to like imagine the way Kaylee died if they just gave them all of the, the framework of the evidence. But they weren't, and then they weren't.
They thought it
able
was
to
so
prove
easy
it.
to prove that they didn't need to go into extra depth
Yeah.
about like proving it without a reasonable doubt because they're like, well, it's obvious.
But then Jose Baez comes in and just pokes holes at this and this and this and this. And do I think he did a great job? No, but apparently the jury did. So that's who, in the end, he needed to prove to. So when she was released from prison, she didn't live with her parents because obviously after, the claims she made, I can see that relationship has kind of sailed.
Yeah, was there ever a trial on that?
No, not one.
Because it was a lie.
Right. So being that Casey is literally the most hated America in woman. What did I just... hated woman in America at this point. Where does she go? Well, she was kind of living with one of her attorneys at one point.
Baez?
No, just a different one.
Oh.
And then she was living in a church compound. So she was kind of just floating from place to place for a little bit.
Yeah.
Just kind of nomadic. And then in January 2013, she got 2 of those 4 convictions overturned for lying to law enforcement. So, good for her. But it wasn't the end of her legal struggles because now both Zenaida Gonzalez, the real one that they did found from Kissimmee, it had nothing to do with her case, And the search company, EquiSearch, from Texas, sued her.
Ooh. Yeah, because Zenaida was like, bitch, you put my name out there.
Yes, she literally sued her for defamation.
Good.
But the courts threw it out.
What?
And they're not wrong, because they said that Casey never actually intended anything malicious towards Zenaida. She just fucking picked a name, and they happened to find one, I think. Like, this person had nothing to do with the case, nor did...
Oh.
Like, she was not... It just was
Like,
the
she
name.
didn't get bad press or anything.
Right. Like, her name was just that name. Like, there's a lot of people with the same name. You can't just sue because your name is out there.
True.
So it was thrown out. And then EquiSearch sued her to cover the costs of their search, since, according to the trial, Kaylee was never really missing because she drowned. So EquiSearch was like, oh, you know what?
She drowned.
Fuck you. You knew she drowned. So why am I out here searching for her body, wasting all my money?
Yep.
So they sued, and Casey ended up having to file bankruptcy, and then her lawyers ended up reaching a settlement with EquiSearch. So
Oh my God.
they did get some money, but yeah. This has to be almost over, right? Well, there's a little bit more. So, in May 2016, accusations come out from Dominic Casey.
Who is that?
He is a private investigator who worked for the defense in her trial.
Okay.
So he released documents in this 2016 of behavior that he claimed to have witnessed between both Jose Baez and Casey Anthony.
Oh shit.
So, for example, he claimed that Baez had set up a media interview for Casey. And then, somewhat last minute, Casey wanted to cancel it, and she asked Baez to cancel it, which he did. But then alleges that for doing that favor, he said, quote, "You now owe me 3 blowjobs."
Oh.
Oh, turn for the worst here.
Wait, how did Dominic figure this out?
He was around.
Oh.
Yeah. So he
I was
alleges
gonna
that
say,
was
was there some sort of sexual relationship between the
was.
two of them?
Allegedly.
Okay.
So Dominic alleges that the relationship between Baez and Casey just became more and more inappropriate.
Yeah.
And he claims that one time he went to Baez's office, and he walked in, and Casey was running out of Baez's office, like into one of the, like down the hallway into another office, whatnot, naked.
Oh.
He said that he confronted her about this because this is an unacceptable behavior.
Yes, literally.
And it really is. And she, allegedly, he says that she said he had, no, whatever I'm trying to say there. He said that she said
Okay.
that she had no money to pay for Baez's
so now she's
legal services.
prostituting
Right,
herself
so
out.
she had to do it. Yeah. So, isn't that
Okay,
something?
so she's literally saying that she did that.
Allegedly.
Okay.
Allegedly. Dominic Casey also claims that when he was hired by Baez, it was not to go search for Kaylee. It was to go find her body. Meaning that Baez, at that point, was already aware that Kaylee was dead, and Dominic needed to find Kaylee's body first.
Why did this not guy speak up beforehand?
I don't know. You're on the defense, dude. What the fuck?
Yeah.
You should have been on the prosecution.
Literally, to be like, hey, I'm from the defense side, and these are the things that are going wrong.
Because I guess, I don't know, but I'm assuming you can't do that. I don't know.
I would be like, I quit. Y'all are
Yeah.
sketchy. This
Yeah.
is not ethically right.
Right.
Here's the reasons why.
There should be ethics to this, and yeah. So Dominic also claims that while he was looking at the photos of the Anthony residence, he was the one that noticed the ladder for the pool was still inside of the pool, and that he was the one to present this as evidence to Baez that Kaylee drowned in the pool. So I guess he's actually not that great of a human after all.
Wait, so he's saying...
He's saying that, well, yeah, Baez is the one who's going, oh, yes, Kaylee drowned in the pool and George, blah, blah, blah. Well, Dominic is claiming he's the one that found the photos of the pool with the ladder still in it, which is how Baez would have connected, like, oh, yeah, this is the possibility.
Oh.
So both Jose Baez and Casey Anthony vehemently denied these accusations.
Scusa, what does that mean?
It means that they both, like, passionately and very intensely, with, like, great feeling, deny those accusations.
Okay.
Which I can understand why you would passionately deny that.
Yes.
Because that's not a great look.
True.
I get it. And since it's all accusation, nothing's like been, found to be 100% with that. We're going to lead with, and that's just not a great look, and I hope it ain't right. So, to this day, both George and Cindy believe different events took place.
Oh, really?
Yeah, Cindy still believes, well, it's not still, I guess, but Cindy believes it was an accident that Kaylee drowned in the pool. She's really holding on to that. George, however, doesn't believe that she drowned. And I really can't say that I blame him because it went from Kaylee drowned to Kaylee drowned and you were home to help hide her body real quick in court.
Yeah, so if you say, yeah, I think she drowned, then you're like essentially admitting to the fact that you were part of it.
Right. He believes that Casey had been giving Kaylee medication in the weeks and months leading up to her death that would cause her to sleep for unusually long amounts of times, like 12 plus hours sometimes.
Oh, dang.
Right, like a long time for her age. He thinks that it's possible that Casey had been giving her Xanax, which he says the street name of Xanax is sometimes Xanny.
Oh my god, that was right under my fucking nose, and I did not see that.
Xanny the nanny. Sam's face is so bad right now.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Like, what? It makes sense, right? Like, you think about it, and...
Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
Yeah, Zannies.
Yeah.
Zanny. Zanny the nanny. What? Who the...
Yeah. Since no one knows who the fuck Zanny is as an actual human, it makes so much more sense that Zanny the nanny is
a drug that she was giving to her child because she wanted her to shut the fuck up.
Yeah. She would use her as the quote-unquote babysitter to make her sleep for disturbing
So she could probably go off and do stuff.
Yeah.
So it was literally knowing, oh, my child's asleep right. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Yeah. Apparently the roommate of Tony actually at one point thought of that himself.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, if you see a 2 or 3-year-old sleeping for 12 hours straight.
Yeah.
Like, that can't be like that just came out of nowhere for George or the roommate to be like, weird how your daughter sleeps so much.
Right.
Like, that, like...
Yeah, and the fact that, like, Tony and the roommate were of the same friend group, age, yada yada, of Casey, and Casey would say Zanny the nanny, the friend didn't, I guess, I probably didn't immediately or didn't think anything malicious of it, but then when this whole thing came to light, was like, Zanny the nanny, oh fuck, like, Xanax for the babysitter, Zanny the nanny, and
oh my gosh.
George really just thinks that one day she gave her too much.
She
and
overdosed?
She never woke up.
Wow.
Yeah. Which is a theory. I'm on board with the theory of Xanax for Zanny the nanny.
I'm actually on with that too.
Yeah. It's really fucked up, but I'm on board with that one.
Yep. Yeah.
George has also said that this whole thing, this whole case, this whole trial, everything, it ruined his relationship with his daughter, and he'll never speak to her again, he said. And I, again, don't blame him, as she has...
Is he still with Cindy?
Yeah, they're still together,
That actually surprises me.
Yeah, well, they said that they're the only two that understand what each other is going through. They've had their ups and downs together. They've gone through it together, and there's no one else that would understand the struggles they go through on a daily basis. So they're still together. It's just incredible to me that, like, Cindy is actually trying to reconnect with Casey slowly, and she said she needs to forgive her for herself, and George is like, fuck off.
Yeah.
But I don't...
you, like, that's a big thing to disagree on.
It is. That's huge. And I don't think you need to forgive someone. I'm not one of those people.
Yeah.
It's all mental. Saying I forgive you doesn't actually do anything. If you just block... Like, what does it do to say I forgive you?
Why you can forgive and not forget. Like, I do believe, like, I guess forgiving to me is a sense of I'm not going to hold those emotions on a daily basis. So I'm not going to hold hatred in my heart for you. I'm just going to be like, you know what? Fuck it. I'm not going to wipe
it clean and start over kind of thing.
Yeah. And, like, it doesn't mean then you go back and you're like, wow, let's be friends again.
People. I think I'm real good at holding on to a grudge for the rest of my life.
I mean, don't get me wrong. I can definitely hold on to a grudge, too. But
and I don't care, because in my opinion, I look at that as, like, you're that fucked up. Like, I'm better off without you.
Yeah.
And I'm at peace with that. It's all in, I guess, personally
like,
what you're at peace with.
I feel like that's where it comes in, where it's like, I'm at peace with not having a relationship with you.
Right.
You may not have, like, forgiven as, like, I've moved on from you, and I don't let your, like, I can think about you without getting overly, overwhelmed or
right.
angry or whatever. It's like, okay, I've moved on.
It's literally...
You no longer consume my life, my emotions, my feeling, like, whatever it is.
Yeah.
I haven't forgotten because, like, George, I feel like it's kind of like, okay, maybe he hasn't forgiven her, maybe he has forgiven her, but he's not, like, I don't know.
I get it.
I'm trying to say, but...
Definitely, I get it. So, I'll say that one good thing that is to come of all of this is that there is now a law in Florida that ensures that anyone guilty of neglect and that doesn't report their child missing faces felony charges and up to 20 years in prison.
Good.
So that is a thing that is good, the one good thing to come of this. And I really hate that laws like this always fucking come from
after the fact
cases that are so disturbing and tragic.
Yeah.
But it is good that it does prevent anything further from being the same situation. Mm-hmm. So and I would also say that considering this is Jose Baez's first major case, he clearly did defend her side real well. I can't say that I'm a fan of what he did or the specific tactics that he used in this case. But if you're in a pickle, he does seem to have the defense strategies down. Like I said, you don't have to agree with the way he went at it, but I do think it worked.
It did work. She got off on she's not in jail.
Nope. She's actually she's acquitted, so she's it don't matter. It's just absurd. And I didn't plan this at all, but it has been 10 years almost to the day, of recording.
Oh my God.
Almost. That she's been acquitted of the crime.
That's kind of creepy.
It is kind of creepy. I had no intention of that being a thing. Just happened to work out that way.
Oh my God.
Casey's been living under the radar, as one probably should if you are of high profile for something like that.
Because I feel like people would want to kill you.
Yeah. So for basically 10 years, she's really been under the radar. But earlier this year in West Palm Beach, Florida.
Oh, she's still in Florida?
Yeah. You'd think she would have moved.
Yeah, you would want to, move out of it.
Yeah, I can't understand her in any aspect of life, but yeah. But she was involved in a bar fight, so that made some news. Yeah, it wasn't even a good bar fight. It was somebody spilled something on her and she called the cops. Get over it.
Yeah.
Not that I'm promoting violence, but I'm just saying. No, I don't think she will. She's just no. Because get this. This is ironic, but according to People, she's filed paperwork to open her own private investigation company in South Florida.
What? Come on now, lady.
Yeah. So, Case Research and Consulting Services, LLC.
Never hire her.
No. It's registered to a home owned by Patrick McKenna, the location of it. And Patrick McKenna was an attorney in her defense team. And I think that this will make everyone happy, but Casey will not be able to get a Florida private investigations or private investigator license at all because she's a convicted fucking felon.
Good.
So, no.
Good.
Why would she want to own a PI company? Quote from a source, but quote, she knows what it's like to be accused of something that she didn't do. She wants to help other wrongfully accused people, especially women, and help them get justice. You can fuck off.
Yeah, literally, go fucking... I'm not going to finish that sentence because
go fucking fuck off, you can say.
Go fucking fuck off because you're just a very terrible person, and you killed
Yes.
a not even 3-year-old.
Yes. And then lied about everything.
Yep.
Yeah. But it also makes you happy that at the point that I was recording this and the People article that I found on that, no one had hired her.
Good.
Thus far. But
Good.
that's good because she can't do anything except like run the company. She can't have her license or anything.
Yeah.
So, and who the hell wants her help?
Nobody.
Although maybe you do because she apparently knows how to get off with no.
She knows how to lie.
Yeah. Something.
I wonder who's supplying her money, because if she's not, like...
I don't know what her job is besides that. I don't really care, to be honest.
Yeah, true. Wow.
Yeah. So
Quite the case.
I know that was a super long one compared to like other ones we've done, but you did
a really great job with it,
I really
though.
needed to like give you the details of like this versus this versus this and why and yada yada, because without that, like, you can't fully decide one way or another in this case. Like, there's a lot of evidence that you really need to hear what this was and why this got fought this way and stuff. So
you did a great job, actually, like kind of going over her like background, then her. I mean, this is part 1 and part 2, but then like the actual trial, you did a good job breaking it down.
Thanks. Yeah, I think that
there was no other way to like explain it all.
Right.
Otherwise, you would have missed information.
You exactly. You need to hear it all. If you don't, you just can't decide. So
yeah.
And since it's all out there, I might as well tell you.
No, especially if like since Florida has all those open records, like you can find a lot of information that you can't usually.
So I'm happy to have finally covered this case that got me interested in true crime in the first place. Like, true crime. Like, I've always been a crime, like...
person?
Yeah, like, interested in crime. Like, I liked TV shows of of this sort, right? Like CSI and Criminal Minds and Bones and yada yada, that kind of shit. But
this
as far as, like, a true, real case with real people, this was the one that really pulled me in, and also I hated.
Yeah, no, so understandably. I still cannot get over she's not far away, she's nearby, or whatever she said, and then the surprise,
you're an asshole.
Literally a fucking asshole.
Yeah. Let me know on social media what you guys think about this case. Do you think she did it? Do you think that her like her defense did her proud and like got her off good? Do you think? Let me know. Am I wrong? Am I unrightly biased here?
Like, what don't we see? If you guys agree with her defense.
Yeah. And now and listen, I know there is stuff you can poke holes in for the evidence for why she did it, but I just think that there is more towards her having done it than not. Yeah, and I don't think she died drowning, so yeah.
No.
So that's what I think.
That is freaking insane. I am glad you covered this one, because it was one that I wanted to learn more about, just because it is such a famous case. Mm-hmm. But I also am like, motherfucker. Now this is floating around in my head that a 2-year-old died because of her freaking mother.
Yep.
Wow.
And she's living free among us all.
Yeah. Yeah. Actually, and it wasn't that long ago.
This is one of those ones where I don't feel like she'll be a repeat offender, I gotta say.
No, because she's not, unless she's going to have a kid again.
Well, she could. I mean, she's biologically able to do that. I don't think.
If she does and this happens again, it would kind of be like...
But she's not young and partying and wants to be child-free anymore, so I don't think she should have another child. I don't think she should, not because she doesn't have the ability or the right to, like, it's your body, do your thing, right? But it's not a great book.
Yeah.
But, hey, you can. I was going to say, you can't hold it on people forever, but you can when you killed your 2.5-year-old.
I was just going to say, you just said that you can't forgive people, and now you're going to forgive her.
I don't live with her. She's not my daughter, and I don't forgive her, but I could see her having another child, and that's none of my business.
Fair.
You know what I mean? I'm not the one giving her a child. Whatever dumbass does that, that's your problem.
I, wonder if she has friends and stuff. I would never be able to trust her.
No.
I'd be like, I'm sorry. You killed your daughter.
Yeah, I'd never be friends with her.
No.
There's nothing in the world that would make me be friends with her.
No. Not at all.
No. So.
Insane. I hope you guys like this case, because I'm, so, at the end of this, I'm, just so upset that I'm, drained of my emotions.
Yeah. No, I full on get that.
It's terrible.
Yeah. So. Let me know. Let me
On
know.
that
Let us
note.
know. Thanks for
On
listening to
that
part 2.
Yeah, thank you guys so much for listening this week. Be sure to follow us on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. Just search Chilled and Killed Podcast. Definitely let us know what you guys think about this case. If you love this podcast, please go rate us on Apple Podcasts or wherever you listen. Also, feel free to send us an email with any questions, comments, or requests at chilledandkilledpodcast@gmail.com. And we will be back next time. Until then, bye. What was I gonna say? I was gonna say. Casey.
Mom.
Hi, sweetie.
I got
Actually, let's start over. She's probably not like, hey, sweetie.
No, she's definitely not.
She's like, hey, sweetie.
Yeah,
Okay.
pretty much exactly like that.
Start over.
Okay. Transcript thing again. So, do you want to be Kaylee or do you want to be Dad?
Casey, you mean?
Correct.
Do you want to ask
Goodness
that again?
gracious.
Ask that again.
Mom, because this is recorded, because
This is going to be one of those things. McDougal.
Oh, God, that was so bad.
That was so bad.
George yells, "Look at what you've done. Look at your mother." That doesn't make any sense.
Look at your mother. Look at her.
Try again. Yeah. Both Baez and Casey vehemently. How do you say that?
I have no idea. I've never heard that word in my life.
I looked it up. I wrote it and I just don't know how to say it. And I asked Alexa how to say it.
Oh my gosh.
It means in a forceful, passionate, or intense manner with great feeling.
Oh,
So that's
my
what
goodness.
I want to say.
They intensely,
Vehemently.
vehemently,
I don't.
vehemently.
Alexa, how do I say the word spelled Viamently? I know that, but you gotta listen to me. Alexa, how do I say the word spelled Viamently? You do. You told me it the other day, bitch. Alexa, how do I say the word spelled Viamently? Fuck you. I hate you, bitch.
Stupid bitch.
I want to say that word. Hey, Siri. How do I say the word spelled Viament? Oh, that's not how you spell it.
VEH. Is that the way you spell it?
Yes.
Oh my god, that's funny.
Alexa, how do you say the word spelled Vehemently?
According to an Alexa Answers contributor, the word is pronounced May-A-H-N therefore. Did that answer your question?
No.
What? No.
Try again.
Thanks for your feedback.
Okay, good. Alexa, how do you say the word spelled Vehemently?
I pronounced that vehemently.
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 How I say things, and I might not have it right.
That's fine. Vehemently.
Vehemently. If you love this podcast, please go rate us. I'm going to say that again. If you love this podcast, please go rate us on Oh my god.